Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Lewis? Mr. Meyer? Mrs. Barra? Ms. Fletcher Mickens? Mr. Hebert?
Here.
Mr. Washington? Mrs. Hood?
Here.
Mrs. Arso?
Here.
Mrs. Dugas? Mr. President, you have a quorum?
God, Father, we thank you once again, God, for you allowing us to gather ourselves here tonight. We thank you, God, for all of those who are here, and God, we pray a special blessing upon each and every one of them. We ask tonight, God, for your guidance, your wisdom, your support, and ask, God, that you would help us to engage in meaningful discussion that would allow us to grow as a group. We pray, God, for all of our children. We pray for all of our workers. God, we ask that you would continue to protect them as they're away from this school. And Father, have them ready to come back this school year. We pray, God, that you bless all our leaders. And Father, we ask that you would do more for them than we're even able to ask. And God, we're going to continue to give you the praise and give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Mr. Honorary.
We beat you. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes of the July 5th, 2023 school board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hebert, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B, we're going to adopt a resolution of sympathy for Mr. Henry Marks.
The resolution reads as such. Whereas we, the members of Assumption Parish School Board, have learned of the untimely death of Mr. Henry Marks, an outstanding employee and citizen of Assumption Parish. Whereas by his devotion and loyalty, he had come to be recognized as the most valuable asset to the Assumption Parish family of public educators. Whereas Mr. Marks served Assumption Parish School Board for 34 years as a teacher, principal, and personnel director. And whereas his life was a record of service and devotion to children, community, and family, his loss will be shared by all who cherish the education of the young, especially the young of Assumption Parish. Now therefore it be resolved that the Assumption Parish School Board deeply regrets the untimely loss of a true friend and servant to public education and offers his family our deepest sympathy in a time of grief. Be it further resolved that a copy of this expression of sympathy is presented to the family with our deepest condolences. Family.
I'd just like to say that Mr. Henry Marks was not only dedicated to our educational system, he was very dedicated to our community. He served our schools well, but he served his love of God, his church. Everyone in our community recognized Mr. Marks as a very outstanding citizen. Thank you so much for sharing him with us. Thank y'all.
Mr. Marks was a very respectable man, well respected. He was our first principal. Whenever we split the schools, he was our first primary principal. Led by example, not a lot of words, but always good words said. Thank you.
I think that was my mom's first principal, and she had extreme respect for Mr. Henry. He's an icon. Everybody knows that. We're truly blessed to have him, and I'm so sorry. And I know my friend Kyle was going to be here today. I'm so sorry for your loss. Next, we'd like to adopt a resolution of sympathy for Mr. Leonard Bro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution reads as such. Whereas we, the members of Assumption Parish School Board, have learned of the untimely death of Ms. Leonard Bro, School Board Member, 1972 through 1983, an outstanding leader and citizen. And whereas his entire life was a record of service and devotion to children, community, and family. And whereas by his devotion and loyalty to the cause of education, he had come to be recognized as a most valuable asset to the Assumption Parish family of public educators. And whereas his loss will be shared by all who cherish the education of the young. Now therefore it be resolved that the Assumption Parish School Board deeply regrets the untimely loss of a true friend, servant to public education, and offers his family our deepest sympathy in their time of grief. Be it further resolved that this board extends its heartfelt thanks to the family of Mr. Leonard Bro for their support, his dedication to the children of Assumption Parish. Mr. Bro.
I would also like to comment on Mr. Leonard Bro. I sit in his chair. He represented Ward 9 when he did serve, and he did an excellent job of serving our kids and our community. Mr. Leonard was a very fine gentleman. He never met a stranger. He loved his family beyond words, and he was a friend to many, especially to some of my family members. We thank y'all for serving, and I really appreciate seeing y'all here. And I enjoy seeing you. Thank you.
To echo Doc's sentiments, Mr. Leonard was an outstanding man. When he served on the board had a lot of input about who was being hired, and he helped a lot of people get a good job. Thank you.
Listening at the comments coming from my two colleagues to my left, these symptoms, they really go deep with us, particularly when you're talking about people who served Assumption Parish Schools and served with dedication and loyalty. But one thing I could say to both of you guys is, this earthly world have no sorrows that our God in heaven cannot heal. Always put your trust. I got that from my brother over here, Brother Washington over there. Always put your trust in God, and look, He's gonna lead you on. Trust me. Thank you all, and God bless you, and thanks for being part of Assumption Parish Schools.
Every one of the sympathies we've seen too, that you can see the families that come in and the stock that comes from the people that we recognize that are no longer with us. And it's evident. I mean, Evan and I graduated together, and his family has been involved in the parish, and the stock that we see from the families that have passed, and it's great to see the success that educators and supporters of the school system produce and instill for generations after that. So thank y'all for being here tonight.
I don't know the relation or whatever it is, but I see him daughter slept at your house when they won that volleyball championship. But God bless you. I'm glad to have you all here. And we don't know Mr. Brooker from what all we hear. You know, he was a great man. We're sorry for that. Dacia. That's cool.
Mhm.
Policies and procedure, receive information on Assumption Parish School District 2023-2024 organizational chart.
We skipped a
No.
section.
3D.
Oh, sorry. When you're ready. Receive administrative personnel report. I think we all got that. For the next B, C, D, and E, I'm going to ask school board members if they would to ask to be recognized before we make a comment to these, because once they're finished, I would like not to rapid fire them. So ask to be recognized and we do one time. Y'all agree with that, right? Okay, so receive child nutrition update. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
How y'all doing? Just a quick update. Going forward, so I did just come in April. So, you know, bids were due for contract right away. So we went ahead and just kind of replicated what was going on from last year. So we're not going to be changing the menus up this year at all. We'll be looking into it in the future, of course. We went ahead and we are CEP this year for the entire district. So we will be receiving free lunch and breakfast throughout the entire district. There is a higher reimbursement rate that's going to be given to us by the state as well. The main things we kind of been dealing with is equipment issues. Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
You want me to kick up the volume a little bit? Is that better for you?
Gotcha.
Kick it up, huh? So the biggest issues we've been dealing with is equipment. There's been a lot of old equipment that has been in cycle, and we're starting to cycle that out as well. The new kettles that were given to us in the 22 and 23 equipment grant have been installed at Assumption High, as well as Napoleonville Middle School. And the oven has also been, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. The kettle at Assumption High and Pierre Park has been installed, and the new oven at Napoleonville Middle has been installed as well. The older oven at Napoleonville Middle School is still in good working condition, so we decided to move that over to the primary school, Napoleonville Primary. We did have an issue with the Napoleonville Primary oven where the bottom half was having some issues. The top half is still working, so we didn't condemn the top, but I did condemn the bottom, in which we moved that oven to Bell Rose Middle School. Bell Rose Middle School is only using currently the top portion of the oven. So we took their double oven and put it in Napoleonville Middle School. I'm sorry, Napoleonville Primary School. All right. Let's see. If you also look in the notes, Miss Melissa printed out for y'all, you'll see that as well. So what we did, moving forward, the oven situation is taken care of. We're also dealing with Napoleonville Primary's cooler went out in May. That will be completely repaired next week, so that will be ready to go for the upcoming school year. We have had discussions about changing out all of the exterior locks to enter the cafeterias. Right now, there's like a 2-gallon bag worth of keys. It's a lot. So we're going to start implementing and changing out those locks as well as installing a bunch of cameras inside of the kitchen area. There is some cameras in every single cafeteria, but not every school has a camera in the kitchen. So we're going to do that as well. We also, so coming up, I noticed making walkthroughs, there was no way for allergens to be segregated. So we're going to come up with a color coding system to start segregating that food allergens coming in from our distributors. As well as I would like to look into getting natural gas generators put in at some of our larger schools that house a lot of food. We know it's going to be inevitable that we're going to end up with another hurricane, and I don't think we want to go down a road where we're losing a lot of food. That's just going to be a write-off. Other than that, that's about all I got as of right now. As things come up, we'll definitely keep everybody informed. Thank you.
Just real quick, I just want to say I really appreciate the work that you're doing. You know, I know you hit the ground running, and we're glad to have you. So thank you for being a part of our district, and I look for great things from your department. Thank you.
Yeah, I like to see the update on the pathogen labeling too. I know with your culinary background and training, you'll bring a different perspective to the department and make sure that our staff gets trained well through guidelines and preparation and serve safe and all that stuff too. So I appreciate that.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today?
Good afternoon.
We good with volume? All right, I can pump it up now. I can pump it up. So once again, I'll say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here once again at the board. Couple of things we're doing in transportation. We open our mindset to a little bit of change. Inside your packet, you also see our vision, also our goals, and how we're going to achieve our goals through daily process about implementing education across the board for our transportation department. So I want to tell you about some amenities and things as far as the equipment updates as far as going into the 23-24 school session. This year we have 8 new buses in the fleet, 8 new 24s in the fleet. That's a great thing because it reduces breakdowns. And also it gives an opportunity for those drivers to be in some new buses. I'm Mr. Glenn. Yeah, all right. So, and also before I start, I would say, hey, Mr. Glenn is one of our drivers right there. And also Mr. Rose, our fleet manager, showed up here. He said, look, you're going to the board meeting. I got your back. I said, what you got my back for? So, also, we're implementing a GPS system. GPS system is going to give us the opportunity to reduce a whole lot of paperwork because it identifies where the bus is at and also identifies when the bus starts, where it's going. So it gives a more seamless communication with accounting as well as far as with transportation. Also, we're going to have, and so just let you know, installation for the GPS system is now going to be July 26th. After fighting with some individuals, talking to some individuals, telling them individuals, I love them, I don't love you, well, get it done as soon as possible, July 26th is when you install. So you're going to see, if you see individuals working on buses, they're not trying to remove the buses, they're just trying to work on the buses. But if you do see somebody, let me know. Also, the camera system. The camera system, it should be in on mid-September, October. The process is a little bit slower with the camera system because why? There's a lot of training and there's a lot more moving parts that have to be installed on the buses. As far as security, we are revamping, we're looking at security across the board as far as bus garages, and as far as bus drivers. We recently had the federal government come in with TSA along with surrounding districts. They came to Washington and they gave us an introduction to what we should be looking at and what it should be doing. So it's a lengthy process. A lot of paperwork. So I figure by the end of the year, we'll be able to submit some information to the board to be approved, or well, submit to the superintendent to submit to the board to look at to be approved so we can put it in play. Because it's going to give us an opportunity to have options in event situations do transpire. We have knowledge about what to do and the knowledge what to do. We live in South Louisiana, y'all. Hurricanes coming. So it's not just the hurricane situation, it's getting things back to work after hurricanes happen. And so working with the surrounding agencies, local agencies, to ensure that we have a plan of action to be successful inside this district. Also, as far as staffing concerned, it's an ongoing process. So if you know someone who wants to drive a bus, tell them to put an application at Assumption Parish School Board. And we're looking for a few good men and women. We do have some training that's going up. We do have some training going on in September, October, January, and May. The board, the school board is financing this at 100%. So we're looking for drivers. We're looking for drivers where we could train drivers and get drivers inside the cockpits of those buses. And also, we do have applications for sub-drivers. So if you know anyone with sub-drive and aides, so let them know. Send them our direction. Send them our direction. They come with nothing. We'll teach them what they need to know in order to be successful here in Assumption Parish. And also for our professional development, we will follow with TSA as far as for the department as well as drivers to make sure everyone is abreast about the change, everybody's abreast about the plan of action, how to do and what and how we're going to execute moving forward. So, and also as we continue to build, continue to build our drivers, continue to build our drivers with knowledge about unpacking the Bulletin 119, which is the Bible for transportation. So we're going to continue to unpack that letter by letter, piece by piece, so everyone in the transportation department can be successful. I'm an educator. So, and if you are educated, then guess what? Let's be educated. And shame on it if we don't educate ourselves in Assumption Parish as well as the transportation department. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. John.
I just have one question about the camera. Is the cameras that are in there, are they going to be two
Four,
cameras or
five
just one?
cameras on each bus.
Oh, five,
You're
okay.
gonna have a dash cam to see kids as they're walking across. You have a driver cam, you see the driver and looking outside as the kids get on the bus. And you have 3 cameras inside the bus, in the front, in the middle, and the back, to ensure the safety of the children as well as the drivers.
Okay, good.
And we're using the funds that have already been allocated by the school board.
Yes, sir, we are. Any more questions? Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Mr. Campbell, just real quick. I don't want to put you on the spot, but we are currently right now fully staffed.
Yes, we are currently fully staffed, sir.
We need subs.
We do need subs.
Thank you.
I've been doing this job too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Really appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item D, receive technology performance update. I've been texted by multiple people to remind Ricky to put his microphone on because nobody can hear you.
It's on now.
Put it a little bit louder because nobody can hear you. Turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So our main focus over the summer to get ready for school is getting the Chromebooks ready for students. So this is the first year that we're actually interjecting a new round. So we're taking some of the older ones out of the fleet and putting new ones in. We should be complete with that by the end of next week to give the schools time to figure out when they're going to distribute prior to the start of school. We probably will not, I think we discussed this prior to submitting the budget. We had a new cycle to come in this year, but in order to help balance the budget, after I looked at some numbers, we were able to sacrifice a year and delay it another year without having any expiration on the backside. So we're not going to have to, I actually did a little more calculating. We won't have to double up any following year. So just skipping a year won't hurt anything. So next budget year, we'll be able to introduce, 500 or so, give or take, to rotate in, and we should be fine.
Trying to explain the rotation, because what we talked about is, talk about the outdating of computers and things like that.
So what happens with Chromebooks is Chromebooks their license expires, which means they can no longer get automatic updates. Under normal use circumstances, like at home, that's not a big deal. The issue is that we use those Chromebooks for testing. So a expired Chromebook can no longer get updates, and if for some reason the state pushes an update on a testing client and we can't get it, now all of a sudden you're stuck with Chromebooks that you can't test on. So it's impeccable to keep a non-expired inventory. So that's the basis of the cycle, is just looking at the expiration dates. And usually when we purchase, they'll give you an option to purchase a cheaper Chromebook, but with an earlier expiration date. So what we do is we check the expiration dates of that particular model, and we cycle that, whatever fits into our cycle, which ends up is going to be about 500 Chromebooks a year on a 5-year cycle. And that should keep our district flat. But we monitor the number of Chromebooks at each site, and it's calculated based on the students at each site. So every year, twice a year, we check the numbers, make sure. So like, for example, the high school we're actually finished at the high school today. They have 990 Chromebooks at the high school that are fully updated, fully ready to be distributed and used throughout the school year. So it's to give them a smooth start. They have enough extras in case some breaks that there's no troubleshooting needed. They just go turn them in and swap them out, and we take care of it. So part of this school year and beyond is just analyzing those processes. And anytime we kind of changed a few things this year to save some time on the school side where they don't have to put in work orders. We just, as we go to the schools, we'll pick up what's broken, bring back what's fixed. So we're just constantly looking at ways to simplify the process. And that's across the board with everything, which kind of leads me into like the next big thing that I do on the back end is cybersecurity. So making sure our infrastructure is up to date and old equipment is off of our network, and it's just constantly analyzing what we have, looking for weaknesses, looking for any way we could simplify and optimize the network. Boring stuff that nobody cares about because they just want things to work. So that's always a focus for us. And just to continue the hurricane conversation, a big problem we had last year is we lost a lot of equipment due to lightning strikes and power outages. So we're going to pay a lot more attention to our battery backup systems that's on some critical equipment, some surge protectors on all the major equipment. We've never had an outage that was out for long that we didn't have to bring back up, but there's ways that we've identified that we could prevent things from happening. Most everything was under warranty, but just to not have to do any of that, put a little more power protection on key components. Another big issue is we talked about the safety grant, physical security, actual physical security. I've been involved in a few of the conversations as far as securing the campuses, and when they are ready to go to the keyless entry, that's where I'll get involved. We use a company now that manages our IDs. They actually have modules that will let you control doors and locks with our badges. So it should be a seamless integration. But, I've talked to superintendent about it. I've talked to Mr. Dwayne about it. And once, we get the perimeters and everything done and they're ready for it, then we'll be ready to go with that. Also, with physical security, cameras. Y'all approved another batch of money. We're probably going to be adding, started calculating. I already had conversations with the schools. We had some administration shifts, so I'm going to double check with the new administrators at the schools before we actually pull the trigger. But it's looking like we're going to add anywhere between 60 and 70 new cameras district-wide. And once again, we kind of divvy that up based on need, based on student population. So, your bigger schools are going to have a bigger allocation of cameras. But you may have some schools that are kind of pretty good covered. So we kind of play that by ear, but the preliminary distribution is fairly, after this year, we're going to be pretty set as far as most of the interior is already done with our last year's money. So, right, a lot of the focus is on exterior campus. And problematic, like where the assistant principals would say they have discipline issues where they want a few more cameras. So, and along with another conversation that we just started to have, because it just became an issue with all the power outages, is our aging intercom systems in the schools. There's a couple of different options out there. Me and the superintendent haven't even had time to sit down and talk about it, because there's some features that qualify for safety grants. There's something, so we're going to start coming up with a plan on getting those replaced at our schools. Because what's happening now is these boards are frying in these old systems, and they no longer make the boards. So we're kind of at the mercy of, can they find the boards and whatever they cost? I mean, otherwise you're without intercom. So right now, we actually took the boards out of the in-building because they're going to be going under construction to get the main intercom system at the high school up and running. So, you know, that's a conversation that we're going to start having for this school year, and possibly to get put in a budget or get put in some sort of grant. You know, we're going to start looking at that for either later this year or next school year. Does anybody have any questions?
I saw an article, our children are going to have Chromebooks in first and second grade, but will not be able to bring them home. Is that correct?
We're not mandating for them to go home. They can request those from the school, but we're not mandating.
Yeah, they can still opt if they need access to a Chromebook at home. They can still opt
Right.
to sign up for one, but they're not mandating it at the younger level.
Right.
Please allow the parents to know that this, they can take.
Yeah, we're going to send out a few more updates. We kind of wanted to send that one out early just to get people talking and get any questions back so we could kind of clear up some things and just discuss some questions that might come up.
And what we're really looking at, when you think of testing, students can now start testing as early as in third grade using technology. So the paper test, you know, we're moving away from that. So we definitely want to make sure that the third grade on up has availability. And we were looking at the younger grades and keeping some of those on site. We were, but if the parent elects to say, hey, look, I would like my child to have these Chromebook at home. Now, just be mindful, they would have to bring it back and forth every day. So, okay.
Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Really appreciate everything you do. I know all of our departments work extremely well together, so thank you as well.
Item B, receive maintenance department update.
Good evening.
Ms. Melissa put in your packet a copy of the list of things we have going on. The first one I'll go over is the facility upgrades, and facility upgrades is our larger projects. So the playground at Lapadaville Primary is now complete. Site work's all been cleaned. Bayou Lewis, that playground is complete. All that site work is completed as well. Site's clean. The Napoleonville Primary, Belrose Middle, and Pierrepont Middle projects, they've all been completed before, prior to this update. But what I'm doing, if you look at the way it's laid out, from now on moving forward, I'm gonna put them in this order and like in this format. So you can see what's completed, what's under assessment, which is, we were looking at trying to get a budgetary number for you all. Something that needs approval means it has to come to you all to be approved for the project to move forward. So you can see on the side of the status of where the projects are. And you'll be seeing that more often as we come in. I'll just keep putting the projects on here and rolling them through to keep you all updated. The security upgrades for Assumption High, Napoleonville Middle, and Napoleonville Primary. Pierrepont is also included in that one. Those assessments, I received those back today. I don't have all the details. I didn't go through them, but the following board meeting, I'll have that to bring to the board as well, so we can discuss those as well. The A building floor tile removal, that is completed. The floor tile replacement project, that one needs approval. It's on here for the night to be approved. The two-story projects out to bid. The athletic field, back to the next board meeting for discussion. ROTC and the ag department roof, they're on hold. I was questioning about ag department. I think the confusion in that was there was two roofs. It's a metal roof on one side of the building, and the other side of the building was a tar roof. The reason I did the metal building first, the metal side first, was because I had enough money left over in my capital improvement budget last year to complete that side of it, and then I'm planning to do the other side of it this year along with the ROTC roof. Anything under the maintenance projects, that's what we do inside of the maintenance department.
I thought when a roof was leaking
And when I found out that that side of it was leaking, I always had Miss Sadie tell me her side was leaking. They would call me, and that was the one that was always reported to me. The other side that you're talking about wasn't reported to me. So when I went and look at it, I agree with you. It should have been changed probably 5 years before I took over. It's the original flat tore roof on the building. So
So can we declare it as an emergency since it's doing damage to the building?
I'll reach out to our insurance company, and we'll find out what we can do as far as declaring it an emergency or recouping funds that exceeds the roof. I'll look into that.
I mean, it is in my budget for the year. So, I mean, I can get it looked at and get a budgetary number for y'all as well, and I could probably have that for the next board meeting.
Yeah, I think she's referring to the damage internally as well, not just the roof damage.
Well, see, that is not all roof damage. The way that the walls were repaired and constructed to close the windows off was not properly done. So some of the leakage is coming from there too, and the capping on the end of the roof.
We take care.
So we'll look into it a little bit. So again, under the maintenance projects, we've been talking about keys and locks for a long time. Bayou Lewis locks, that's a work in progress. That means we're working on them now. They should be in, I think they're gonna be in next week or the following week. We'll start putting all those locks in. Libertyville Primary, it has on hold, and the only reason it is on hold is just because I don't have the people to put them in, but they have their own lock system. As I told y'all several times, you can gain entry. If there's an emergency, we can gain entry through the exterior doors, but the interior locks are different keys than the exterior locks. So the exterior is under the Grand Master system if we do need to get in case of emergency. The girls' bathroom at Libertyville Primary Kindergarten Hall, that bathroom's being remodeled this summer. Napoleonville Primary 3rd and 4th grade hall, that bathroom's being remodeled. Pierreport boys and girls bathroom at the middle school, as y'all know, that one's been completed along with Belrose Middle. Those bathrooms are complete. The boys' restrooms near the playground at Pierreport Primary in the back building, I know we had that discussion. Those bathrooms they're being worked on now. They should be completed in the next week or so. So they have all new petitions, paint, toilets. When I say they've been remodeled, I mean we're freshening up the whole bathrooms in-house. The removal of portable buildings. Right now we're at Napoleonville Primary. We're getting those portables out. That way if we do the security fencing, we don't have to tear down brand new fencing to take buildings out. We'll have them out prior to doing the fencing. Libertyville Primary, we're gonna get those portables out as well. We're gonna start moving into after we get the ones out of Napoleonville, we'll move into Libertyville and get those buildings out as well. Soft washing schools, we got 3 schools we're looking at soft wash. We're waiting on proposals for those. They are Napoleonville Middle, Napoleonville Primary, and Belrose Primary. After we soft wash Napoleonville Middle, we're gonna look at painting that gym. We'll see what it costs to paint the gym and get some numbers on that and see where we're gonna go from there. We'll come back to you all for approval on that, because I'm sure there's gonna be a large sum of money. That's something we're gonna do in-house. Right now, we're just washing and trying to do an assessment and figure it out and come back to the board. LED lighting in the classrooms at Bayou Lewis, that is about 90% complete. So that school will be upgraded as all other schools were. So that project should be done this summer. Plumbing repairs at the end building have been completed. Gym floors at Belrose Middle, the contractor came out today. They should start work on that on Monday. We have all the floor there. There was a bad spot. There was a leak from the heater coil, and it rotted a hole in the floor. So we just waited till the end of school to fix it, but the flooring just came in. So that should be completed before school starts as well.
That's on the plan, sir? So
It's on the side. It's right on the edge of it, along the bleachers. But I mean, if somebody comes off the playing surface, it's definitely a hazard.
Yeah.
So that's why we had moved camp this summer, just so we wouldn't have any issues with it. I thought I'd have it repaired before then, but it just didn't work out that way. The Napoleonville Middle Gym, we have some cleaning and painting to do inside the gym. That lift is being delivered tomorrow. We're gonna start painting in there on Monday. Libertyville Primary, all the old ceiling fans were left in all the schools. They just took all the blades off. Well, I was just tired of looking at them. So we removed 94 ceiling fans out of Libertyville Primary to get them off the ceilings and just kind of clean it up and make it look a little better. So that's something else we're gonna start doing in a rotation, is pulling all those fans and all out of schools. Traffic control signs at Bayou Lewis, Belrose Middle, and Belrose Primary. I received the signs today.
Look at that.
I just received them. So all the poles are built. We just got to put the signs on. Contractors are out. We're waiting on the 811 to mark everything so they can dig and put the pedestals. But they're ready to go with that. As soon as everything's marked, they're ready to go with that. So I'm praying to have them done before school starts. I'm just praying to have them done. And then the HVAC projects, the N building we had spoke about, that needs approval. Assumption High A building, that's gonna be in the renovation project if that one's approved. The two-story building, the HVAC systems in there are out to bid, they have already been approved. And Libertyville Primary A building is the back main hall, and that project will need approval too.
Anybody got any questions?
I just have one, but the portables are on a different line item on the agenda, but you mentioned it. So we're removing the ones
Those
for.
portables are not declared as surplus yet, just to clear that
Okay,
up for you.
okay.
These are all the portables that's declared surplus already.
Okay, gotcha.
So
And those are gonna be sold, scrapped, destroyed?
we tried selling them.
They don't,
We
nobody
tried
wants
selling them.
Yeah.
We
Just
couldn't
scrap.
give them away.
Yeah,
We tried to give them away for $1. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted to pay the cost of moving them.
yeah.
So I have Seminole Home Movers. They came in and pretty much did us a favor. So we paid them roughly $1,000 per building
Oh, wow.
to haul them off.
That's
I
nothing.
can't tear them down or dispose of them for $1,000.
Yeah,
No,
that's nothing to haul. to haul
So-
in, yeah.
But that was just the easiest route to get rid of them. Even though it cost us a little money,
Mhm.
I mean, it cleans up the site. And the thing is, too, we talk about safety and security. We don't know if somebody's living back there.
Mhm.
No one goes in those buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you just never know who's there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're gone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dwayne, I know we meet a lot, so I just, again, like I said to everyone else, I really appreciate it. And I know the board doesn't know, but me and Dwayne has a standing meeting every Tuesday to discuss the different projects that we have going on in the parish. So thank you for that. I really appreciate you, Dwayne. Thank you for your hard work.
Mr. B, are we trying to hire anyone for the maintenance department? 'Cause I know he has no one.
I want to say we just hired one or two people. We just hired, I know we hired one person. Yeah, we just hired some more help. We just hired another employee strictly for maintenance.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, on the policies and procedures, receive information on Assumption Parish School District 2023-2024 organizational chart.
I've already communicated to the board, this is just an informational item. I've already met with my departments, my department heads, and we had some long conversation about, hey, how we're structured and how our organizational chart should look. So did receive some feedback, made some changes, and that's what you have in front of you right now.
And I'll make a comment on that too. So I sent y'all an email with I sent Dr. Beard a suggestion based on other districts around us in the state and the region to further adjust that a little more based on our structure and how we operate, and to have more of our supervisors, and y'all have a copy, I gave y'all a copy, the supervisors in line to where they are directly under Dr. B, and I'll read, y'all got the email this week? 'Cause I'll read, if y'all didn't hear it, I'll just read my logic behind that. Sorry, let me pull it up.
Josh, before you start.
Yeah.
Dr. Bartholomew, are you okay with this suggestion?
No, I think we have, he'll read his, but
Okay.
I think that my recommendation has been presented to the board based off of the departments. So I'm not saying it's a perfect, and nothing is, but that's the recommendation that I'm gonna move forward with.
Yes, please.
Mhm. Okay, so we can't discuss, we couldn't discuss anything in the meeting about it either? Yeah.
Be very careful. I know you presented as an alternate. That's kind of out of your purview,
Mhm.
your authority as a school board member. I don't mind there being conversation if the president and the superintendent allow for it. But again, I just wanted to exercise some caution as it relates to the overall discussion.
Okay.
I think under the advisement of council, I think we probably should tread on that.
Okay. That's the decision of the board,
You-
that's fine.
You
with me.
you've spoken to the superintendent and given him your,
At length, yeah.
okay. Okay.
We all have a copy of it, so we have access to look at it and just
Mhm.
voice our opinion over it. But as far as, just like legal counsel just said, it's, that was something that's been taken away from the board since, July, 2020, 2012, under then governing body, Jim. So we just got to be careful walking that fine line right there when you talk about personnel matters.
And that's all the role we play.
Mhm.
According to the state, we're policymakers.
So should this even come to the board for approval, if it's not?
A long time back, prior to you being elected, there was discussions on basically bringing everything to the board.
Mhm.
At the time, I made my feelings known as it related to that. I think that needs to be discussed, same thing for some of the contracts that get reviewed. We need to streamline our process. I don't think that has to happen tonight, but these are things that we're going to be discussing as we move forward, just to kind of cut it down to exactly what the board needs to focus on and what the administration needs to focus on. I think this was more of an information item, just to make people aware of what was happening, and that's why it's not an action item, it's just for information. Because I think Dr. B just wants to make sure everybody's aware of what's happening in the district.
Okay.
Okay, so under advisement of the council, I think what we should do is have more conversations to see what's appropriate moving forward. So, thank you, Mike. Okay, under budget, approved contract with Essential Education for HiSET program. Need a motion?
Moved.
Moved by Ms. Dodge, second by Ms. Cooney. All in favor?
Aye.
Item B, approved contract renewal with National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, NIET. Need a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hood, second by Mr. Lewis, Mr. Abear. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, approved contract renewal with Keys to Literacy. Motion? Moved by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, approved contract renewal with First Choice Therapy Incorporated. Moved by Ms. Dodd, second by Ms. Cooney. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item E, approved contract renewal with the Attenuated Education Partners LLC, attuned, I'm sorry. Need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hood, second by Ms. Cooney. All in favor?
Aye.
Item F, approved contract with Curriculum Associates LLC. Need a motion? Moved by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item G, receive information on contract with Teaching Strategies.
This is just an informational item. Again, we submit to the state, to Louisiana Department of Education, our plan as it relates to how to move forward based on their initiatives. This is a company that we work with and we've worked with in the past. So right now, it's just up for information because this is the first time, so I wanted to make sure the board can see the contract. So it's just for information.
I just have one question. The non-PD days that are on the calendar that are in that contract, those are evaluation days. Is that alongside of our principals and master teachers in the classrooms, or are they evaluating on their own?
They'll be working with the district. So at that point, not going into the schools, but they'll be working with us
Okay.
at the district level.
Okay, item H, approve assignment with hunting and trapping lease Bayou St. Vincent by and between Assumption Parish School Board and the succession of Julius W. Daigle III.
I can speak to that, just to give you a little insight in terms of where we are. This is the final phase of this particular hunting and trapping lease. As we all know, Mr. Tripp recently passed. This succession reached out to me directly in order to assign this to Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a motion by Ms. Dodd, a second. By Ms. Cooney, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item H, receive June 2023 sales and use tax report.
Sales and use tax report for the month of June 2023. Total returns processed 2023. Monthly returns 1,247. Quarterly 60. Irregular returns 700. Semi-annual 16. For a total number of online filers 1,839. Total receipts for the month of June collections are $1,397,121, an increase of $285,940. Percentage-wise, that change is 26%. Overall, total collections less audit, 31.66%. Total collections less OMV and other audits, 42%. The board therefore received an amount, their share was $695,289, an increase of $142,001. Percentage change is 26%. The 92 bond issue fund received $139,058, an increase of $28,400. Percentage, that increase is 26%. The delinquent rate for the month of June 2023 is 6%. Compared to June 2022, 1 year ago, the industries that experienced an increase on your left side are food, general merchandise, automotive, equipment, contractors, service, manufacturer, and utilities. Decrease were in apparel and miscellaneous industries. Audit revenues for the month of June 2023 are zero, as compared to last year, 50,000. Auto sales for the month of June 2023, 274,734, as compared to this time last year, June 22, 272,953, a percentage change of 0.65, barely noticeable. Those 2 months are virtually even.
Have we started receiving any revenue from the shipyard that they reopened performance reopened?
It's kind of touching, Ms. Doc, because I actually went to our tax office and was told that, Mr. B, we can't give personal tax information out, so it's difficult for me to get that information because it's your taxes, it's their taxes. So, but we can get an idea when you look at the different types of taxes we do receive to see which one goes up, whether it's construction, merchandise, so on and so forth. But to ask specific, I couldn't get that answer because it's on.
I just want to know if they were starting to pay into the tax. I don't want to know the amount. I was just wondering if they started contributing to our taxes, if they started the shipyard.
I could look and see if I get that information. That's no problem.
I think we had the contractor was 144% up, manufacturing was like 75% up for this year, so we might have started to see some of that come in because that's a huge increase in those two areas. So I looked at some of the trends from there. So
Ms. Ashton is very active in monitoring the licenses and aware of what businesses are moving in or leaving the parish. So she's very vigilant of that. So when the time comes, what you're asking about, they will be notified.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
Thank you for your report.
Okay, item J, authorize the superintendent to solicit a request for proposals for the part-time CNA. Need a motion?
So moved.
Well, Ms. Hood, second by Ms. Dodd. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, authorize the superintendent to solicit a request for proposals for a part-time homebound teacher. Need a motion? Moved by Ms. Coons, second by Ms. Dodd. All in favor?
Aye.
Authorize the superintendent to solicit requests for proposals for an audiologist.
So moved.
Mark, you want to come up and, so we've been meeting with our departments, and our need changes depending on the school year. So the different requests is based on the current need. But I can let Ms. Margaret, she can speak to it.
Good afternoon. We did hire someone in February. She doesn't do a lot of work with us, but her contract ends at the end of the school year, so we have to re-advertise again. So hopefully she'll still be here because somebody told me she moved and she won't be in our area. But hopefully we can still get her to apply. Yes, yes. So that's why we have to re-advertise again. A new school year.
Every year.
Every year, every year. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Margaret.
Okay, I had a motion from Mr. Lewis. Second from Ms. Dodd. All in favor?
Aye.
Item M, authorize the superintendent to declare the mentioned property as surplus. Does somebody want to
Oh, he answered.
talk about the mentioned property?
Just give us a brief, I know we've been, go ahead.
We've been through, from my experience in working with Dwayne as well as the former maintenance supervisors, we've owned a lot of these portable buildings in the past, and they, just like anything else, they have a life expectancy. There were several of these buildings at the Bayou Lewis location when everything was taking place to start construction of that school. There were several, maybe a dozen of them that we had to deal with. We were able to sell some, but in my experience, what has happened is people don't have the ability to move those buildings, and the life expectancy of them, what we're dealing with, they don't have any value. So along with when we were doing that process with the Bayou Lewis site, I had some extensive conversations with the legislative auditor on exactly what are we dealing with, what can we do, what shouldn't we do with these buildings. Well, in general, property of any governmental agency, we can't give it away. We can't even give it to another governmental agency. We would have to surplus it and auction it off. Well, through these processes, we found that we put it up for auction and nobody wants it. So the legislative auditor has given us a rubric which still stands that we follow a best business practice. First of all, we let the public know that it was surplus. We gave everyone a chance, and a fair chance, to buy it if they could. And as a result, a lot of time, well, most of the time when we put it up, no one responds. They don't have the ability to move that, or they just don't want it. So the best practice is, after that, we just dispose of it. And as Dwayne and I have spoken, some of these buildings are now a danger. If the wrong type of weather comes, they'll just fall apart. They're a hazard if anyone gets too close. Just to have them moved off, some of them fall apart at that time. So the protocol is just to declare it surplus, and we're moving on. Some of these buildings are 50 years old. They just only last so long.
All right, thanks for the clarification, Darrell. Okay, do I have a motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hebert. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item N, adopt a resolution to approve the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire for Audit Engagement.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Hebert, second by Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Under Facilities and Ground. Authorize the superintendent to move forward with the construction project at the 9th grade academy in building. Need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dodd, second by Mr. Hebert. All in favor?
Aye.
Item B, authorize the superintendent to move forward with the construction project at the Assumption High School A building. Your motion? Motion by Mr. Lewis,
Just one,
second by Mr. Washington.
one question.
Discussion?
I want to just clarify that this does not include what we talked about last time, so we want
Wait,
to
wait,
approve
wait,
that,
wait, wait, wait.
approve
You-
that
Wait,
next time,
wait.
right?
wait.
So, no, I'll bring
It's
some.
not, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Dwayne, I don't know if you want to come up. So we did receive an estimate on the windows, and you just kind of explain that and the recommendation from the company for us, because I talked to Mr. Claymore a little bit about that as well. If we decide to do anything different than what's in this proposal as it relates to the winds and what Dwayne is going to speak about, it's going to cost, we would have to tear the entire wall down and rebuild it from scratch, which is going to be, that building alone, estimated over $800,000.
I got all the numbers if
Go
you
ahead.
want me to
Go ahead.
run
Speak
through
to
the
it.
numbers real quick. So the original work that we proposed to do came in at $494,899. This is not a bid, it's only an estimate through an assessment. So that's not including the walls. That's ceilings, flooring, painting, removing lockers, new HVAC system, enclosing some interior windows, that's glass in the hall for safety reasons. If y'all would want to add the exterior walls, it would add an additional $540,862, bringing the grand total, well, that would include the roof as well. He put the roof inside of this one. So that would put us at $1,035,761 in the A building. If we took the roof out and just did the walls without the roof, it would be $902,761 just for that one building. I think it's 5,500. It's 5,500, a little better than 5,500 square feet. So the architect pretty much basically told me, he says, you can knock it down and build a new one for 1.6 and have a brand new facility, brand new restaurant, brand new plumbing, brand new everything. Continuing to go this route, either we're gonna make these smaller repairs or we need to just demolition the buildings and start from scratch. Right.
Could you speak to the recommendation?
So I met with Guaranteed Restorations today. There was a guy there, he's dealt with the stuff inside the building for 42 years. He came in, and I think I was maybe a little misinformed on the first people that came in and looked at the buildings with the windows. So it's the glazing is not in the windows. It's in the framework between the beams and the windows. This guy recommends encapsulating it with new caulking and painting over it and just calling it a day, which would be a lot, well, it's gonna be in the painting project anyway. So it's gonna be done regardless, inside of the original scope of work that we had put out, which would be around the $494,000.
Thank you, Dwayne.
So do we need to decide if we're going to do this at $500,000, or do we decide that we don't want to run into another $500,000 worth of work? While we're doing this, maybe we have to redo plumbing or redo something else that may come up, or do we want to put a new building, or like we talked about that last meeting, put a new building or knock it down or do the repair?
Well, what we're
Based on-
discussing right now is what the discussion item was prior. And so that's the only thing that we're authorizing. That should be a whole separate item that we're gonna have to discuss and authorize. But right now, we're authorizing the first.
We're authorizing to pay that money for this. That's why I asked the question. Do we want to do this in light of the new recommendation and the new opinion we have on the building?
Seems like that's gonna be two total separate projects at this point, or we just would have to ditch this
Yeah,
project.
that's what I'm saying. Do we table this, or do we, I think we table it.
More clarification, Dwayne, please?
Yeah.
I don't know how long y'all want this building to be down and useless to us right now, because basically it is. So this is the other issue we had. We had a unit in the B building that the water coil busted over the weekend, flooded the building. If we have another building that this happens to, and these floor tiles come up and we gotta shut down another building, we won't have enough room for the kids at Assumption High.
So if the recommendation
So-
that passes today, we could get that work done, will we still be able to do and revisit what you're talking about? for the
Absolutely.
sec-
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If we do the exterior walls later, that wouldn't affect the work that's being done now.
That's,
Okay,
that,
okay,
That's-
thank you.
That is correct.
But it needs to be clear to the board that the recommendation
Yes, sir.
is to leave it alone and move forward because it's not an issue.
Because it's not a hazard.
Correct.
It's not a hazard, correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
In order to move forward.
Right, at the
so we don't
400,
create-
at the 494,000. Once it's completely redone, yes, all the floors are back in, the new ceilings are in, the lighting's put back up because the drop ceiling has to come down, all the HVAC system. So it's gonna take a little while. I don't wanna prolong it anymore, because again, if something happens, a storm comes in and we gotta shift buildings, we're gonna be out of room.
Create,
We
create
maxed
more
out right
problems.
now.
Yep. Thank you.
And Night Grade Academy is also.
Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion. Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item C, authorize the superintendent to move forward with construction project at the Laverdale Primary School A building.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Abrams, second by Mr. Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, item A, comments and announcements. Anybody have any comments and announcements?
Again, I just want to thank our departments, for presenting our non-instructional departments. Thank you all. I really appreciate you coming and present to the board. I look forward to our instructional departments coming real soon, so thank you.
Okay, and I know we had some people go to Little Rock. Does anybody want to comment on how that went? Looks like you guys,
But just made it just on time, yeah, for that.
yeah.
The meeting.
Yeah, it was a great conference. I mean, the opening and closing speakers were great. The information sessions were some of the things that we've heard before, but in a different way, kind of new ideas based on old thought, which is good. So I enjoyed it.
I did too.
It was an excellent conference. The only problem I had with the same thing I had back in 2017, the logistics of Ford. You know, you take it for people like us from Louisiana and our neighbors east of us in Mississippi. We have to travel, fly into Little Rock, Arkansas, rent transportation and drive like an hour to get to Hot Spring, Arkansas. You know, but other than that, everything else went good. Just like Josh said, the presenters, the facilitators. It was good. It was real nice, and I can tell you, the four of us who went, myself, Josh, and Van, and the superintendent, I tell you, we caught every class. So don't think we went over there and it was a fun trip. It was not. We caught every class. Every class. But again, like I said, I had issue with the logistics back in 2017, and nothing have been done to mitigate that. And look, say, I could boast about the conferences we have in Louisiana. I mean, from Shreveport to Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, there's none better, I'm telling you.
All right. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moving that, second by Ms. Hood. All in favor?